Speak.
My name is William M. Bowden. I'm a law enforcement consultant 2 in professional conduct assigned to the Los Angeles County Bureau. Beside me is Carrie Woolley, an attorney with the Legal Affairs Bureau. The case before you, post 2311496, was submitted to post for an allegation of serious misconduct under California Penal Code Section 13510.8B6, acts that violate the law. That states that acts that violate the law and are sufficiently egregious or repeated as to be inconsistent with a peace officer's obligation to uphold the law or respect the rights of members of the public as determined by the commission. In June 2020, Cesar Hazel Diaz, an officer with the Los Angeles School District Police Department, while off duty, was arrested in Orange County, California for suspicion of In June 2020, Cesar Hazel Diaz, an officer with the Los Angeles School District Police Department, while off duty, was arrested in Orange County, California for suspicion of driving under the influence of alcohol. Mr. Diaz was seen driving his vehicle recklessly at a high rate of speed, approximately 50 miles per hour in a 25-mile-an-hour zone, on the wrong side of the road and crossing over solid double yellow lines with several passengers in his vehicle. Mr. Diaz failed field sobriety tests and was subsequently arrested. When he was taken into custody, his loaded handgun was located in the waistband of his clothing. During the booking process, Mr. Diaz provided a blood sample to determine his blood alcohol concentration, which ultimately returned as 0.14% BAC post-arrest. Just 10 weeks later, in August of 2020, while driving his vehicle off-duty in Los Angeles County, Mr. Diaz was seen rapidly accelerating as he exited a parking lot and swerving across 4 lanes of traffic in one move without signaling. After stopping at a red light, Mr. Diaz then accelerated rapidly while crossing 2 lanes of traffic to make a right turn without signaling. During the subsequent DUI investigation, it was discovered Mr. Diaz's loaded firearm was on the floor under the front passenger seat, which was occupied by a subject who was not a peace officer and who also had been drinking alcohol. While being booked at the jail, after being arrested, Mr. Diaz provided breath samples to determine his blood alcohol concentration. The sample showed Mr. Diaz's blood alcohol concentration was 0.17% and 0.19% shortly after his arrest. In July 2021, in LA County Court, Mr. Diaz pled no contest to 1 misdemeanor count of driving under the influence of alcohol with BAC of 0.08% or higher. The second misdemeanor charge was dismissed as part of the plea bargain. In October of 2022, in Orange County Court, Mr. Diaz pled guilty to 2 misdemeanors, driving under the influence and driving under the influence with a BAC of 0.08% or higher. Mr. Diaz's employer told the administrative investigation while the criminal cases worked their way through court. Due to the court delays, the June 2020 arrest was not cleared administratively until December of 2022. At the conclusion of the administrative investigation, Mr. Diaz was suspended without pay for 240 hours by his agency. As a result of his actions, Mr. Diaz was arrested twice in a 10-week span for driving under the influence of alcohol. At the time of his second arrest, his blood alcohol concentration was significantly higher than the first time. During both arrests, he exhibited erratic and dangerous driving behavior, putting both his passengers and the rest of the driving public at extreme risk of death or serious injury. Additionally, he was in possession of a loaded firearm both times. The second time, his firearm was unsecured and accessible by an inebriated passenger. Based on these actions and the details as I have described them, the division believes there is clear and convincing evidence that Mr. Diaz committed serious misconduct as defined in Section 13510.8B6. For the purposes of this report, clear and convincing evidence means evidence of a charge is clear and convincing so long as there is a high probability that the charge is true. The evidence need not establish a fact beyond a reasonable doubt. That's the end of my report, and I'd be happy to take questions.
On the first DUI, there was no weapon found?
There was a weapon in both DUIs. The first DUI was in his waistband.
A question by board members? No. This time, does the subject officer or their counsel wish to make public comment? You may state your name and organization if you wish. Please come to the.
Hello, Madam Chair and Vice Chair and board members. I prepared a 3-minute speech because I know I was told I only had 3 minutes to speak about myself. So my name is Cesar Diaz. Thank you for allowing me to speak a little bit about myself today. I ask that while you consider my case, that you also consider the facts about what I have done to learn from my mistakes and how growing from those mistakes have made me a different person and a better police officer to this day. There was a period of time in 2020 where my actions did not correctly reflect my true character. I was dealing with undiagnosed PTSD, unmanaged grief from family and work losses, the 2020 riots in Los Angeles, childhood trauma, and unfortunately, my list of coping skills only included drinking. After my off-duty mistakes, I realized what I was doing to cope wasn't working. I made the conscious decision to work on my personal and mental wellness by choosing to attend a 30-day inpatient rehab for first responders. After that, I also completed a 90-day outpatient program where I received continued support for my personal wellness to this day. I have found since then new and healthy ways to cope with my PTSD that don't include drinking. I learned how my coping skills were detrimental to me and negatively affecting those around me, like my family, community, and friends. Today I stand in front of you, a better man with a long list of healthy coping skills